Family reunions caused by funerals are never fun, but this one is just... House of the Dragon Season 1 Episode 7 titled Driftmark just came out, and I'm going to discuss it. I'm going to give you my first overall reaction to it, and this video is going to have some spoilers in it. So consider going to watch the episode first and then coming back and watch this. But before I get into it again, consider subscribing. I do TV show discussions, movie discussions, trailer reactions, that sort of thing. Anyway, let's get right into it. And I feel like I say this almost every single episode, but I feel like it's kind of true every single episode. But this is my favorite episode to date. The stakes have never felt higher. The tension has never felt higher. The inter-character drama and passion for each other has never felt higher. I just feel like this episode reached almost the heights of Game of Thrones at its best when it comes to just absolute tension and suspense building and just my overall love for this universe and how happy I was just sitting here watching it. So every character in this show, like pretty much literally every single character in this show, goes to Driftmark for Lena's funeral, and it's, you know, it's really drab, it's really depressing, it's really, you know, for a big portion of the episode too, it's just sort of people mingling, talking to each other, and I genuinely love this because when you have a show that you're so invested in and with so many characters that you love, you just love the downtime. And that's what we got a lot in this episode, but it didn't stay that way for long. And as the episode progressed, Rhaenyra and Daemon actually finally end up, you know, doing their thing together, which cool directed scene. But immediately after that was my favorite scene probably in the show so far. Okay, I won't say my favorite scene in the show so far, but I will say it was my favorite dragon sequence in the show so far. And I'll honestly say it was probably one of my favorite dragon sequences in the world of Game of Thrones. That includes the original show. And we have Aemond sneaking out and finding Vhagar. You know, Vhagar, the big, old, huge dragon. And he gets on top and he ends up riding this dragon. And it was this beautifully directed sequence. And it felt so intense. It felt so emotional. It made me actually care about Aemond as a character. Like, I never disliked him, but he was never my favorite of the new children that have been main characters since the time skip. But as he's riding this dragon, the acting on his face, the direction, just the overall scope and scale, I loved it. I loved watching it. I wish we had more sequences of characters riding dragons. And it made me really, really appreciate Aemond as a character. And then when he landed the dragon and he went back to Driftmark, he ruined it, and now I fucking hate this kid. When Aemond gets back to Driftmark, he's walking through the caves and the tunnels, and he's met by the Valyrian children and by Rhaenyra's children. And all the kids are together in this cavern, except for Aegon. He's off doing his own thing. And Aemond is now this pompous douchebag, and I don't like him. And he picks a fight with essentially all the other kids. He punches every single kid in the cave, and it reminds me of that one, I think it's a YouTube video where this dude just punches everyone at a cookout.
Noah! Larry, what the hell are you doing?
Larry!
Larry, you can't just... Oh,
Larry! Oh, are you alright? How did...
Larry!
But then all the kids gang up on him and they start beating him up, and this sequence went on a little too long. That's not a bad thing, by the way, but this sequence and this fight was happening for such a long duration of time that my brain immediately realized something bad was about to happen. Like, I thought at first the scene wasn't going to end without a kid being killed, and I thought it was going to be horrible to see, but one of Rhaenyra's kids, I forgot which one, but he takes a knife and he slices Aemond in the face and he loses an eye. That's all that happens, no kid dies, but then this action, this moment leads to probably my actual favorite scene in the whole show so far. And that's all the characters again essentially meeting, talking about what happened, and everyone arguing. Alicent is going crazy, wanting justice for her son, and people are trying to wonder what's happening, what's going on. You have Viserys, old man Viserys there, actually kind of being kingly again, which I really, really liked. It reminded me of him in earlier seasons where he actually spoke and had an opinion and had an emotion, and I liked it. And this scene was just so good. It was just so intense, and I absolutely loved it. And I loved the visuals in this scene and like what it meant going forward. Like, there's this one scene at the end of, well, there's this one shot at the end of this scene in particular where the room is essentially split in half completely. Like, you have Rhaenyra and Daemon and her kids, and then on this side you have Kristen Cole and you have Alicent and you have Otto Hightower, which, by the way, Otto's back. He's Hand of the King again. And it's like this shot that is showing you exactly or not exactly, but pretty much where the lines are going to be when war actually happens. And the way they're staring each other down, you have people on one side and on the other. It just hyped me up so much. I cannot wait for actual war and actual battles and actually people killing actual other people that I care about, because I love all these characters. And there's this one part in that whole scene where Alicent comes at Rhaenyra with a knife with the cat's paw dagger, and Rhaenyra's holding her back, and the dialogue that they give each other is just so intense. And then Alicent brings the knife down and cuts open Rhaenyra's hand, and it like goes quiet for a moment, and we see the blood drip from her hand, and it's like so symbolic. It's like that is the first blood that's going to be spilt in this entire war, in this entire conflict, like the actual legit first spillage of the blood. Now some could say that it was, you know, when one of Rhaenyra's kids cut Aemon's eye out, but those are kids that could have been brushed under the rug if, you know, the adults didn't act like children themselves, and if Rhaenyra didn't go Alicent didn't go crazy and that sort of thing. But I loved it. Then at the very end of this episode, we have Rhaenyra and Daemon finally deciding to marry each other. And they want to marry each other. Well, Rhaenyra wants to marry Daemon to, you know, further the Valyrian blood, and because her claim to the throne will be even stronger. Daemon mentions that in order for them to get married, Laenor has to die. And this really, really depressed me because I like Laenor as a character. And Daemon ends up finding Carl, and he pays him to, what we assume is to assassinate Laenor and then take off across the narrow sea and go fuck off to Essos for the rest of his life. And we see this play out. We see Carl enter Driftmark and fight Laenor, and then they pull a charred body from the fireplace. And we think Laenor's dead. I thought Laenor was dead. It made me super depressed. It made me really, really dislike Daemon and Rhaenyra. I'm not saying they're perfect people, but it made me really huge black stain on them. As the episode ends, we see Carl leaving, and Laenor is with him, and his hair is cut off. So they're gonna, you know, live together happily ever after. And Essos is what we're supposed to assume, though I imagine they'll probably come back eventually. But the biggest question I have after seeing that scene was that Daemon and Rhaenyra's intention? Like, did they tell Carl to just pretend to murder Laenor and then let them know that they can just take off together? Or was that Carl's own doing? Like, did Daemon and Rhaenyra actually want Carl to kill Laenor, but Carl took it upon himself to let Laenor in on the plan and escape with him on his own? I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, that's my quick and brief thoughts, my first overall reaction to Season 1, Episode 7 of House of the Dragon. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely love this show. Really, really looking forward to next week. And yeah, let me know what you thought about it in the comments, and obviously consider subscribing. I talk about House of the Dragon every single week. I do various other videos, TV show discussions, movie discussions, trailer reactions, that sort of thing. Also, I want to know, let me know as of right now, what side you're on. Are you Team Rhaenyra or are you Team Alicent? Because obviously neither character is perfect. Both characters have done bad things, but both characters have some redeeming qualities about them. I'll say right now, as of right now, I'm Team Rhaenyra. And I didn't think that was going to be the case. In the first half of the season, episodes 1 through 5, I thought that I was going to be Team Alicent. But after the time skip, I really, really like Rhaenyra and who she's become as an adult. And Alicent is just a bit too aggressive, a bit too on the attack, a bit too feeling like she has to be defensive at the same time. And it's just really weird. She just causes a lot of problems that don't necessarily need to be problems. Once again, let me know what you thought about the episode in the comments. Consider subscribing, and thank you for watching, especially if you watched this far.